Christmas dinner was loud. Everyone was talking at once. Plates were full. Laughter filled the room. From the outside it looked perfect. My dad stood up with a smile. He held a stack of wrapped gifts in his hands. The room slowly went quiet. He started calling names. My sister first. Cheers. My brother next. More laughter. Then my cousins. My aunt. My mom. Each name came with hugs. Each gift came with smiles and thank yous. Wrapping paper tore. Cameras clicked. I sat there waiting. I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe mine was last. Then the gifts ran out. The stack was gone. My dad sat back down. And my name was never said. No explanation. No pause. Just silence sitting right in front of me. Everyone noticed. I could feel it without looking up. Forks slowed down. Someone cleared their throat. The noise at the table didn't stop, but it changed. No one said my name. No one asked a question. No one spoke up. My dad kept his eyes on his plate. He didn't look at me even once. It was like if he avoided eye contact long enough, I would disappear. I stared at my hands on the table. They were empty. I folded them together so it wouldn't be obvious. I forced a small smile, the kind you wear when you don't want to ruin the moment. People kept eating. They talked about dessert. About work. About anything that wasn't me. I nodded when someone glanced my way. I laughed at a joke I didn't hear. I acted normal because that's what I always did. But inside something cracked. Not loudly. Not all at once. It was quiet like glass breaking under pressure. A sharp realization settling in. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't forgetfulness. This was a choice. And sitting there, surrounded by family, I had never felt more alone. Someone leaned closer to me and whispered, "Maybe yours is coming later." I nodded like that made sense. Like it helped. Another person smiled and said, "He probably saved the best for last." I smiled back even though my chest felt tight. My siblings avoided my eyes. They were busy with their gifts, but I knew they noticed. They just didn't want to be pulled into it. Someone changed the topic quickly. Talk shifted to food, to plans, to jokes. The moment was covered up, like it never happened. I sat there listening, pretending. Pretending I wasn't embarrassed. Pretending I wasn't hurt. Pretending I didn't feel small. I told myself not to react. Not to ask questions. Not to make it awkward. Because if I spoke up, I would be the one who ruined Christmas. So I stayed quiet. I swallowed everything. I kept my voice steady. But with every laugh around the table, I felt myself disappear a little more. And I understood something painful in that moment. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes, it's just how people agree to let you be hurt. Later that night, I realized it was never about a gift. It wasn't about money or a box wrapped in paper. I could buy my own things. That part didn't matter. What hurt was the message behind it. The unspoken words everyone understood. In front of the whole family, I was shown my place. I wasn't important enough to remember. Not important enough to prepare for. Not important enough to explain. That single moment replayed in my head. Not the laughter. Not the food. Just the way my name was skipped so easily. I thought about all the times I showed up. All the favors. All the help that was never noticed. I was always there when something needed fixing. But that night, none of it mattered. Love shouldn't feel like something you earn. Respect shouldn't be optional. Sitting alone later, I finally admitted the truth. This wasn't new. It was just the clearest example yet. The gift wasn't missing by accident. It was missing on purpose. And once you see that clearly, you can never. 2 days later, I didn't argue with anyone. I didn't bring it up. I didn't ask why. I just stopped trying. No long messages. No explanations. No checking in to make sure everyone was okay. I woke up and went about my life like usual. But something was different. I wasn't carrying everyone else anymore. I noticed how often I was the one who called first. Who fixed problems. Who showed up early and stayed late. So I didn't volunteer my time. I didn't run errands. I didn't make myself available just because I always had. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't a plan. It was quiet, almost boring. But it felt heavy and light at the same time. Heavy because letting go is hard. Light because I wasn't forcing myself to be invisible anymore. No one noticed at first. And that hurt too. Because it proved something I didn't want to admit. My presence was only valued when it was useful. Unsee it again. The days passed and then a full week. My phone stayed quiet. No messages asking if I was okay. No jokes. No follow-ups about Christmas. I didn't reach out either. For once, I let the distance grow on its own. 2 weeks went by. The silence wasn't dramatic. It was slow and uncomfortable. At first, I kept checking my phone without realizing it. A habit I had built over years. Every buzz that wasn't there felt loud. I wondered if I was being petty. If I should just let it go. If I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew this silence was honest. It showed me exactly where I stood. I kept busy. Work, sleep. Long walks where I replayed everything in my head. And somewhere in that quiet, something changed. The hurt stopped screaming. It started settling. I realized how peaceful it felt. Not to explain myself. Not to apologize for feelings that were valid. The silence didn't fix the pain. But it gave me space. And for the first time, that space felt. The shift didn't happen all at once. It started small. A missed payment. A plan that fell apart. Something not getting done on time. Things I usually handled without thinking. Were suddenly problems. That's when my name came up again. Not with concern. With confusion. I could tell they were trying to figure out what had changed. Why things felt harder now. Then the messages started. Short at first. Casual. Hey, quick question. Are you busy? Can you help with something? No one asked how I was. No one mentioned Christmas. They just assumed I'd step back in. I stared at my phone for a long time. My fingers hovered over the screen. Old habits pushed me to respond. But I didn't. And with every message I ignored, the tone shifted. From casual to careful. From confident to unsure. That's when it hit me. My absence wasn't emotional to them. It was practical. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did. And realizing that hurt in a way. No empty gift ever could. Like relief. Then one afternoon my phone rang. My dad's name flashed across the screen. I didn't pick up at first. My chest tightened. The same chest that had held embarrassment, hurt, and anger. For the last 2 weeks. Finally, curiosity won. I answered. Can you come over? His voice was quiet. Careful. Not angry. Worried. I paused. I could hear the hesitation behind the words. The unsaid apology. The fear that I might finally say no. I wanted to respond the way I always had. Rush in, fix everything, make everyone comfortable. But something inside me had shifted. The part of me that always forgave first. Was gone just for this moment. I stayed silent longer than usual. Then I asked, why? A simple question. He stumbled over his words. He tried to explain. He tried to make it sound casual. Like it wasn't a big deal. But I knew it was. I could feel it in the quiet pauses. In the careful tone. In the way he didn't meet my eyes. For the first time they weren't just asking me to come over. They were begging for what they had taken for granted. When I finally got there, no one said the words I wanted to hear. No, I'm sorry. No, we messed up. Nothing that admitted the truth. Instead they offered explanations. It wasn't intentional. You misunderstood. It's just how things happened. Every sentence danced around the real issue. Avoiding the heart of what had hurt me. I realized then that they weren't apologizing for skipping me. They were apologizing for being caught. For the discomfort of their own mistakes. It hit me hard. The gift wasn't about me at all. It was about control, habit, and convenience. And no amount of words could change that. I listened politely, nodded. But inside I felt a quiet power stirring. The power to choose how I reacted. The power to decide if their words, their guilt, or their need for approval mattered to me. For the first time I didn't have to give them what they wanted. I could simply be present without surrendering myself. And in that moment I understood. An apology isn't always about making things right. Sometimes it's just a test. And this time I wasn't taking it. After that conversation something shifted completely. It wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no doors slammed, no tears in the middle of the living room. It was quiet, almost invisible, but the effect was enormous. For years I had been the one who adapted. The one who apologized first even when I wasn't at fault. The one who made plans, fixed problems, and smoothed over tension. So everyone else could feel comfortable. But now the balance had changed. I realized they weren't begging for me. They were begging for access. Access to my time, my energy, my patience. And for the first time I didn't give it freely. I kept my voice calm. I kept my distance. I listened when they spoke, but I didn't overextend myself. I offered no explanations for my absence, no justifications for my choices. And I watched how quickly the tone changed. From casual requests to careful questions. From confident certainty to hesitant uncertainty. They were unsettled now. They were the ones adjusting. It was strange seeing the shift. The people who had ignored me, skipped me, and made me feel invisible, were now uncomfortable in the silence I chose. And I understood something powerful. I didn't have to fight for my place. I didn't have to demand recognition or validation. By simply stepping back, I had reclaimed it. For the first time, I was showing up for myself. Not for approval. Not for acceptance. Not for anyone else. And that quiet choice, that simple decision to stop giving what wasn't appreciated, was more freeing than any gift I could have received. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't demand anything from them. I simply stopped playing the role I had been cast in for years. The role of the fixer, the mediator, the invisible helper. The role that made everyone else comfortable while leaving me empty. I realized that the pain I had felt at that Christmas dinner wasn't just about a gift. It was about respect. About being seen. About being treated like I mattered, not just what I could provide. So I chose peace over approval. I chose silence over explanation. I chose myself over the need to be accepted. It wasn't easy. Every time I heard a voice call my name later. Every time someone reached out expecting the old version of me. I had to fight the urge to respond the way I used to. But each time I held back, I felt a little stronger. A little freer. And slowly I understood something vital. Leaving or stepping back isn't always about revenge. It's about survival. It's about protecting your heart. It's about honoring your worth when no one else will. That Christmas and the weeks after taught me a truth I'll never forget. Not every seat at the table is meant for you. Not every hand extended deserves your grasp. And sometimes saying nothing, stepping away, and choosing yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. Because when you finally stop bending to fit where you aren't wanted, you stop losing yourself. And in that quiet, powerful space, you finally find freedom. Sometimes, not this time, is the first time you finally show up for yourself. That Christmas changed everything for me. It wasn't about the gifts. It wasn't about who smiled or who hugged first. It was about understanding my place, or rather recognizing that some places weren't meant for me at all. I realized not all family deserves front row access to your life. Not everyone who shares your bloodline deserves your time, your energy, or your love. Some people only take what they want and give nothing in return. For years I had tried to fit into roles that weren't mine. The peacemaker, the helper, the invisible one who made everyone else comfortable. I gave and I gave, hoping that would earn respect or love. But respect and love can't be earned through invisibility. They can only be given freely, and they have to be mutual. That moment of being skipped, ignored, left out, it was painful. But it was also enlightening. It taught me a truth I had ignored for too long. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot stay at a table where your presence isn't valued. Walking away wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about self-respect. It was about choosing myself over approval, peace over recognition, and my own well-being over someone else's expectations. And in that quiet, painful realization, I finally understood. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is leaving a table where you were never meant to be fed. Some seats are meant to be left. And when you leave them, you make space for your own life, your own happiness, and your own freedom. And that, in itself, is priceless.